And as he sat there, he began to open eyes of understanding. Not that he saw a vision, but he understood and knew a lot with an insight so great that everything seemed new. With these words, Ignatius of Loyola explained the rediscovery of himself and the world around him after weeks of prayer and pilgrimage into the cave of Manresa. Ignatius of Loyola, the son of a wealthy family, undertook a journey in 1522, driven by the need to find something to fill a desire for inner fulfillment. If our desire is to open a new way, we can call ourselves pilgrims. The Latin form, peregrinatio, means trip, or in short, discovery. And if this is our desire, we can feel like Ignatius in his discovery. This is the way from the Basque Country to Catalonia, which invites us to We begin in Azpeitia, where we cannot miss a visit to the sanctuary of Loyola and the birthplace of Ignatius. Located next to the Tower of Loyola is a magnificent architectural complex built between the 17th and 18th centuries. Inside, we are surprised by the exuberance of the Baroque ornamentation, of the abundance of marble and gold. Everything is built around a relic, which explains this. The medieval Tower of Loyola, nowadays known as the Holy House, where Ignatius was born and where he also turned to God. A 30-minute tourist visit into their rooms brings us back to the daily life of the saint. At the door of the tower, a bronze sculpture displays the exact moment when Ignatius is taken home seriously injured. He does not know if he will survive. While recovering, he ponders his life and experiences a profound transformation. If you wish to stay here, the Jesuits welcome all pilgrims to the extent of their possibilities, and we can find different ways of hosting guests. We should not be in a hurry to leave, as we will need to well prepare the path we shall follow. Here we need to ask for the same credential that we will have stamped in the various places where we go up until the end of our pilgrimage, when we shall receive the Ignatian Pilgrim Certificate. From the gardens behind the sanctuary, we start our journey. Along the river Urola, we pass by many places of great scenic beauty to reach the centers of Marian devotion in the Basque Country, Arantzazu. We stop to admire and visit the shrine dedicated to the Virgin under the care of the Franciscans. Burned several times, it was rebuilt in 1959. Continuing along valleys and villages, mountains and meadows, we are invited to reflect. As Ignatius once said, "He who is zealous soars with wondrous speed in a few moments to a degree of virtue that the idle cannot do, even after many years." We continue on, and the air takes on the smell of the earth to where we're coming, the land of wine. La Rioja Alavesa opens before us with great plains of cultivated land, just as it's been known for centuries, the vineyards. We move to another town that is well worth a visit. It is the capital, La Guardia. Located on a hilltop and surrounded by walls, its streets still retain vestiges of the past that evoke the time of Ignatius Loyola. We recommend a visit to the Church of Santa Maria de los Reyes. The Gothic-painted doorway made of stone remains in perfect preservation and dates from the 18th century. Once in Rioja, the Ebro River will from this moment on accompany us. Although surrounded by vineyards, we reach the town of Navarrete. This city was once home to lords and nobles, as we can see by several buildings. Ignatius visited the Duke of Nájera to claim money that he owed to him. In these streets, it is not uncommon to find pilgrims, as the path of St. James and St. Ignatius converge. Therefore, we're able to find many different establishments. A man who finds the path to virtue difficult, yet sets out bravely to conquer himself, gains double the reward of those whose mind and idle nature gives them no trouble. The Ebro River, which continues to serve as our guide, we leave La Rioja. After passing through several villages, we come to Tudela, the capital of the Ribera de Navarra. This city, considered the garden of the kingdom, holds many attractions. A well-preserved old town with cobbled streets, the Plaza de los Charters, Town Hall, the cathedral, and the Church of Santa Magdalena is well worth a visit. In the parish of Our Lady of Lourdes, we find the Jesuits once again, who will kindly seal our credential. If you wish to spend the night at the hostel, you may do so at a very reasonable price. Along the way, we can stop at any town on the journey. Shops or markets will allow us to connect with people and at the same time provide us food we need to continue. Leaving the city, our environment changes. The cultivated fields and the vegetation is concentrated around the Ebro River. Beyond up-paved trails, sparse vegetation together with the absence of people helps the pilgrim to find and internalize personal experiences, which this trip is providing them. The words of the saint help us to value everything that at this moment we have within ourselves. Let he who is rich strive to possess their goods, not be possessed by them. Thus we arrive at Alagon, village of ancient origins, conquered by the Muslims, and that still preserves an impressive Moorish tower in the Church of St. Peter the Apostle. Its ancient town with many shops and places to stay overnight is a welcoming place to make a stop. Before our eyes, the flat and arid land of the Monegros, with small villages, leads us to the gates of Catalonia. Once in the Lleida region, we head to the small town of Verdú. We invite you to stop. At Verdú, St. Peter Claver was born in 1580. In the middle of the town, the birthplace and childhood home of this Jesuit saint is now a shrine. Peter Claver devoted his life to defending the black slaves in the port of Cartagena. Named as patron saint of missions, he was canonized in 1888. The Association of Friends of the Saint welcomes pilgrims with open arms. Based on the autobiography of St. Ignatius, he stopped to buy clothes which he thought to use in the future. We believe that most probably the city was Igualada, where he was on his way to Montserrat. You may rest assured that the spiritual progress you make will be in direct proportion to the degree of your withdrawal from self-love and concern for your own welfare. The mountains of Montserrat come into view, rugged, majestic, and high. Once there in the square stands the monastery, a spiritual center of Our Lady in devotion in Catalonia, which for centuries has been an inspiration of faith and which has received and welcomed pilgrims from around the world. The building, which during the 19th century survived 2 fires, was completely restored in the same century. Inside, presiding over the basilica, we see the image of the Black Madonna. We know for sure that from his autobiography that Ignatius spent 3 days praying and confessing here. This is where he decided to change his clothes from a gentleman to another much more austere and simple. The transformation of Ignatius was materialized. If one wishes to reform the world, either by reason of the authority of their position or the duty of office, they must begin with themselves. We are about to reach the end of our journey, and we begin to glimpse the city of Manresa. The path leads to the old bridge that Ignatius on March the 25th, 1522, crossed over the river to Cardanet. We cross, and in front of us we see the majestic but also austere building of the cave. We can admire the facilities, and we can enter into the neoclassical church built in the 18th century. If we leave, it takes us to the cave entrance designed as a passageway to access to the cave, where a statue of José Limón Coveta leads to a space formed by a natural cave, hence its name. What we see now is the result of different ornamentation that has been added over the centuries. This is a place of prayer, and here, according to tradition, the place where Ignatius wrote the spiritual exercises. We have completed our journey. Once we have our pilgrim's credentials stamped, we can obtain the certificate of our Ignatian pilgrimage. We have come a long way, perhaps with difficulties, but we have overcome the challenge and are sure that the path was also for us, as it was for Ignatius, a discovery. Nothing is hard for a man whose will is set on it, especially if it be a thing to be done out of love.